Learn this one thing and attract and keep your soulmate. I'll see you right after this. Hello and welcome back. So ladies, welcome. What can I say? My name is Chengi and you, my precious one, of course, are my world. I am your dating and relationship expert, founder of the SWAN Relationship Academy, and your auntie, sister, friend, whatever you need me to be to help you along this journey of love. I am so excited at the energy in the Black Swan, the engagements, the marriages that are taking place are filling my heart with joy. And so I really wanted to give you this one thing that I truly believe is the key. I know that a lot of us as experts and coaches say this in multiple different ways, but I really wanted to zero in on this because it's so important and it's a conversation I've been having a lot with my clients. And so I always feel like if I'm having a conversation consistently with my clients, the chances are that it's something in the energy field, it's something in the atmosphere, and something that needs to be addressed. It's so easy for us as women to date and be in service to the man because the feminine is naturally wired to serve whilst the masculine is wired to give. And so it's very easy for us to be in service to the man, to want to meet his needs, to want to understand what he wants to be, to really become the ideal lover. I heard yesterday when I was listening to a podcast or something on YouTube, and the gentleman said, you know, men, the research that has been done by I cannot remember who, is that men love to pursue their desires and women love to be the object of a man's desires. And I think this is so true. And because we are so wired to wanting to be the object of a man's desire, that we so easily self-abandon for whichever man is in front of us. And you know, when I started off my journey as an expert, really to seeking to heal myself and understand for myself, my first port of call was clearly what most of us are on about. How can I become what every man wants? How can I become the ideal? How can I become the ideal lover? The one that gets chosen by the man all the time, the one that is selected from the bunch, the one that is kept, the one that has the commitment. Who do I need to become to get that? And that's not a bad question to ask. But before we can even begin to think about who we need to become, we really need to have a conversation with ourselves about who we are. Who are we? Before I consider, oh, I need to become a dream girl. I need to become a black swan. I need to become more high value. What is the place where I'm starting? Where's the start line? The start line is in really having an awareness of who you are. One of the things that I realized over time is I was learning about men. I was learning about the psychology of men. I was learning about the psychology of relationships. I was learning about the mating rituals of humans. I was learning about the evolution and the biology and the psychology and the energy around relationships. And I was so focused on building my knowledge base and my database of knowledge about everything else. But I realized that what really absolutely mattered was building my knowledge and database of myself to the degree that I knew everything more above and beyond the degree that I had come to know everything. Being self-aware is the greatest gift you can give to yourself, and yet the hardest gift you can give yourself. It is the hardest task, but if you can develop self-awareness, it's like finding a diamond. I was reading some research today on Google and I just typed in how many humans are self-aware, and the first thing that came up was that only 10 to 15% of the human population actually have self-awareness. 10 to 15% is a very, very low number and tells me what I've always suspected as I've worked with women all over the world and also worked with myself. I surprise myself all the time. And whenever I surprise myself, do something that I never thought I could do, or say something that I didn't even think I could say, or knew that I could say, or understand something that I didn't even think I knew, I am surprised, and that surprise speaks to how not so self-aware I am. The whole world can surprise you. The whole world in a way should surprise you, but you should never surprise you. You should never not know how you're going to respond to any given situation. You see, self-awareness is really about leadership, and it's really about being more confident. If you want to be more confident, if you want to be more attractive, if you want to be more feminine, if you want to be well respected, if you want an amazing life and people to treat you well and honor you, and a man to choose you, to attract the man of your dreams, that starts with understanding yourself, the way you think, the way you feel, the way you move, why you move, the deeper conversations about yourself. Because what we know about ourselves and how we feel about ourselves not only determines our self-esteem and self-worth, but also determines the vibrational frequency that we enter into every room with, and the magnetism of the things that we will magnetize to ourselves. And sometimes when we're in a relationship and we're seeing certain manifestations in a relationship, we're sitting back and thinking, why is he in my life? He's in your life because he's a dimension of you. He's a mirror of a part of you. And because you don't know you, it seems surprising that you have attracted this person into your life. Because we will attract those that vibrate at our frequency. Our friendship, if you've got great friends, then they're a reflection of you. If you have terrible friends, bitchy friends, treacherous friends, often it's because you are used to betraying yourself, being treacherous to yourself, not honoring yourself. And so we will always attract people that are a reflection of who we are. I know this is really hard to accept because many of us think we know ourselves. Many of us think we're great girls with a lot to offer. And Mama Swan is the last person who's going to tell you different. But we are also more than that. Some of us have got undercurrents of energy, the way that we think, dark parts of us that we have not addressed, parts that we have become ashamed of, parts that we've learned to disown, to distance ourselves from, to repress, to deny, to reject, parts of ourselves that we are afraid to look at. And what happens is when we're afraid to look at ourselves for our beauty, for our grandeur, for our prowess, for our intelligence, for everything that makes us wonderful, as well as the things that make us a little bit ashamed, make us feel a little bit not so good. Those other parts, as long as we are hiding any part of ourselves from ourselves, we're gonna find ourselves attracting and keeping people in our lives that we don't want there, and never knowing how to break that cycle. This is not just about a love need. This is a life skill. It's a life hack. It's a life tool. If you can invest more time in the relationship you have with yourself, if you can invest more time in really understanding yourself, then you will know what you will genuinely be able to tolerate in a relationship and what you can't. What you will genuinely be able to tolerate in a man and what you can't. What you will genuinely be able to live in and what you can't. Growing your self-awareness is so key to keeping all of your relationships happy. You know, I have come to really face myself, and I do that every day. I face myself every day because yesterday makes me a different person today, because there's a conversation I had yesterday, new information that came into my brain yesterday, an interaction that happened yesterday that changes me, that changes my outlook, that changes my being. And my job every day is to check in with me and figure out if I still feel the same way. If you look back at my life, my work, my career, everything that I've done, I felt so strongly about a perspective, a point of view, a way of life, how I wanted to be treated, what I wanted to have. I was adamant that those things were real and true for me, only to realize that they really didn't mean as much as I thought they had. They were really hand-me-downs, things that family or friends or other people had told me was right, things that culture had told me that I desperately needed. It took a long time for me to unveil and say, what do I really, really need? I was talking to a girlfriend of mine, and this is something that has always been said to me since I was a little girl. Oh, you're gonna marry a millionaire. Oh, look at you. You'll marry a rich guy. You're gonna be with a rich man. Oh my goodness. And so I was having a conversation with my best friend the other day, and she said to me, Chengi, why have you written yourself off from being with a wealthy guy? Like, what's wrong with you? Right? And I said to her, I haven't written myself off at all. The truth of the matter is I have a lot of wealthy suitors. But I've come to realize that it is not a love need. Money is not my love need. It never has been and it never will be. I have been terribly, terribly broke in my past and dated a millionaire and still dumped him. I have never been the kind of woman that is turned on by money. I have even had to really work on that so that I can actually have a successful business and create success, because it's no longer just about me. It's about the other people that I have to pay and the resources and the teams that need money to keep going. So even I had to realize that it might not be a love need, but it is a life need. But it is definitely not something that I measure that comes high on my hierarchy of needs in a relationship or as a woman. I had to really begin to understand that I am a very unique being. We all are. But some of us really live in a different planet. And I am convinced that I'm one of those people. And it takes a very unique, very special type of human. And those qualities mean more to me than somebody who can just give me stuff. Understanding that about me took the pressure off from conforming and allows me to really zero in on the qualities of the man that I need in my life. They allow me to really, really zero in. But above all, they allowed me to think about knowing that, of course, I'm somebody who loves comfort. I love nice things and I invest in nice things. So I knew that I didn't want to not have that either. So I realized that I could create that for myself. But what I couldn't create for myself was a specific person to be in my life permanently.
What are you looking for? What do you bring to the table? Here's my number, he says, on the dating app, and you have to figure out what you're going to do with that. What do you say when you really like him and want to be unforgettable on the app, at the party, in the moment? What do you say to set boundaries and standards in a high-value, sassy, sexy way and still be taken seriously? What if I told you that we have created a 20-page downloadable PDF full of black SWAN scripts with exactly what to say to him for the unforgettable woman, and it's available now? And if that wasn't enough, what if I told you that I'm giving away a free sample script version that you can use immediately for free? To get both the free version or full version, all you have to do is follow the link in my bio and become unforgettable.
You see, knowing yourself allows you to also create structures around yourself that will hold you up. Knowing yourself will set you free from needing to be with a man because he fits some narrative of somebody and you don't even know where you got that narrative from. Knowing yourself makes you live unapologetically. Choose unapologetically. I know without a shadow of a doubt that my husband is going to maybe make people think, really? He's probably going to be not the way people think he should look, or not have the things he should have, or have too much of the thing. I have no idea, but I've always been attracted to people and men that are off center. That's just how I am wired, and it's something that I needed to become aware of in order for me to embrace it and accept it, and also, you know, kind of hedge the cracks that come with that and really kind of come to a place of acceptance. So what it is about us that we need to know is way more important than what you need to know about him. Everyone in your life is going to be a discovery. Every man that comes into your life is a discovery. And I like to think of every man that comes into my life as not only a discovery, but a new adventure, a new class, a new lesson, something that I'm going to learn about myself, because my internal journey to know myself is the most exciting journey. I have met me so many times, and I think I am the funniest person I know. Sometimes I listen to my thoughts and I burst out laughing. I never thought of myself as a funny person. Never. I never thought I was, because everybody in my life told me I was very serious and quiet and whatever. There are parts of me that, and only some friends are like, gosh, you're really funny, but I'd never met that part of myself. I know that I'm really sexy and sensual and sexual person. Another part of myself that I was in denial, that I had disowned, rejected, didn't even want to know, because that didn't suit the church girl, Christian, love the Lord narrative that I was raised in. It didn't suit the moral structure that my mother raised me in. And so I spent so much of my life repressing it that I didn't understand that I needed to honor it, because I know that I could never be in a relationship that does not honor that sacred part of me. And I had to build that relationship back with myself, because otherwise, prior to that, I just kept attracting men that I had no physical attraction to. Like, I liked their minds, but I didn't like their bodies. I didn't feel a physical attraction to them. And I would make that okay. And then when the journey started and the big situations happen, I would be like, I don't want to fight for this. And I wouldn't know why I didn't want to fight for it. And it was because my body just didn't feel them. So I had to sit down with myself and say, what's going on with you, girl? What's going on inside of you? And realize that actually I had been disowning and repressing myself and my sexuality and my sensuality for so long that I was starting to magnetize people that would not awaken it. Knowing ourselves is a deep, deep journey. It's like this rabbit hole that never seems to stop. It is full of great wonders. And the beauty of it is we want to discover those wonders, because those wonders are what attract the person that will sit with us on the bench of who we are and observe the fireworks or the beautiful pretty gardens that make up who we are emotionally. We want to attract somebody who can come and join us on that journey, because we want to be able to say, hey, inside of me, are flowers and sceneries that are breathtaking. Inside of me is a comedian you've never met before. And it's so funny that when I started to own parts of myself that I'd repressed, rejected, disowned because of other narratives, I always find that men burst out laughing. Whenever I'm dating or texting, men are always laughing and thinking, oh my gosh, you're so funny. And I love the sound of a man's laughter. It is a massive turn on for me. A smile will get me there. A laugh, whoo! I get all kinds of excited when I hear a man laugh, and I know that I am the reason they're laughing. I learned to be witty. I learned to be flirty, and I discovered me, and the me that I discovered started to attract men who were right for me. I want the same thing for you. I want you to go on a journey of self-discovery. So I'm going to give you a few pointers, a few questions that you can begin to ask yourself to begin that journey. I want Black Swans to be the most self-aware beings on the planet, the most self-aware, who know what's right for them. It's never about, was the interaction good for him? It's about, how did I feel after that interaction? How do I feel about him as a person? What environment does it create around me? And can my spiritual form, can my emotional form, can my physical reality thrive in that environment? Because if not, he's not the man for me, as great as it may be on paper. But if he does, and even if he looks a little bit funny on paper, then he's that guy for you. And when we're self-aware, we grow and our vibrations become bigger and bigger and bigger, and we start to resonate with a more clear signal, and we begin to attract people that are more in alignment with who we are, that are more in alignment with what it is that we desire. And so this is why the Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Whatever energy, vibrational energy you think and whatever you feel creates your reality, create your is he reality. You think it in your heart. He's talking about the soul and the processing mechanisms of the soul. You will be it. And so what are some of the questions we can begin to ask ourselves so we can know ourselves, so that we can, in so knowing ourselves, begin to attract. And for those of us who are like, okay, I've already attracted my guy, but how does knowing myself keep him? Knowing yourself keeps him because you can bring him to those areas of you that are full of light. And you can teach him how to live with your shadow. You can teach him how to live with the parts of you that don't always do well or perform well. The parts of you that are triggered by certain words. And you can give him a roadmap as how to navigate who you are. I always say to men, when I'm in a relationship, I need you to know that I'm a highly sensitive person. This means that everything happens for me 10x, sometimes 100x. So what would probably not be offensive to a regular person will really, really hurt me. Or, you know, I am able to read your energy at a higher level than most people. I'm more able to feel how you feel. So I'd really appreciate it if you were more in control of your feelings, because I'm a highly sensitive empath on top of that. And so I explain to them what that means. I explain to them that sound always sounds louder to me, that touch always feels more sensitive to me, and that everything in life I experience it at 10x. It makes me a compassionate person, a loving person, but it can also make me really icky. It can make me really temperamental. And in order for me to always be able to manage the sensory overload that I experience daily, I need, you know, a lot of me time. And that has nothing to do with you. It's got to do with the fact that I need to recharge my batteries, because, you know, I tell them I can't be at a party too long. It just becomes too much. So I'd love to go, love to play, love to have a good time, but I'm not the girl who's gonna go partying with you. So I begin to help my partner understand how I am, because I know how I am. Then he knows what he's signing up for. And when he steps on those bombs, he's able to know exactly what to do, use the right safe words. This is how we keep relationships happy. When we know ourselves enough to say to the other person, hey, if you want to have a difficult conversation with me, what you probably need to do is say A. Or if you need to address me over something, it's always best if you do it this way, because I will be more willing to listen. That's how we keep love, by being able to give somebody a roadmap to handling those parts of us that can be a little bit difficult, and also inviting them to perpetually come into the place of our light and our joy and our happiness, and sharing that. And we attract by sending out a homing signal of true authenticity. Authenticity is the great awakening, truly coming to self. But I know that we're afraid of what we might find. Going inward is not as easier said than done. And going inward sometimes requires a guide. We're here to guide you at the Black Swan Relationship Academy. We're here to guide you on your journey within, and to hold your hand when you face things about yourself. So facing ourselves is never an easy thing to do, because we know somewhere in our subconscious minds knows that there are a lot of dark things and secrets and wounds and pains that we don't want to have to unravel. We don't want to have to look at. So it's so much easier to focus on the other person, focus on changing them, focus on making them better, focus on making them suitable to whatever version of yourself that you're being at that time. And that often is what makes us repulsive to other people. They don't want to be around us because they always feel like they're being managed and shifted. And that is especially important in our relationships. Let's take a journey inward and see what sort of things we really need to know about ourselves. The self-awareness journey is a lifelong journey. It's an intense journey. Knowing yourself on a spiritual, emotional, psychological level is something that you will take a lifetime, also bearing in mind that you're constantly evolving. But we can start from somewhere. Number one, know what makes you anxious. What are the things that environments, people, behaviors that bring out anxiety in you? If you know that, like myself, that inconsistency in a man triggers anxiety. I am a securely attached person, done the test a few times, but no one is always in one state. I attach very securely to people. recently, having done a lot of work. I used to read more as an anxious type, and then I went to the other side and became avoidant. And having worked on myself, I am quite a secure person, but I will now and again go into avoidant or anxious attachment. Now, what is really important to me is to stay secure. I need to be in a relationship or dating a man who is very, very consistent, predictable almost. I know that that is fantastic for my nervous system. It helps me calm down, makes me feel safe and secure, and therefore sparks a lot more attraction for this man. Usually in forms of attraction, we tell people, you know, the inconsistencies, and a lot of men are taught not to be so predictable because it's no good for the sex drive or whatever. And whilst that is true, and that there is a bit of novelty, I would rather the novelty happened in the way that he thought the novelty happened, in the things that we do, in the spontaneity. I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is inconsistent communication. It triggers me to feel unsafe and unsure, and my walls and my guard come up, and I either become very anxious or I become avoidant. So I already know what to check for in my list of priorities, because it's not about him. It's not about whether he's busy, has a busy job, is legitimately busy, or has a hectic life. Doesn't matter if his reasons for being inconsistent are A-star, stellar, totally understandable. I just know myself better than I can ever know him. And I know that whatever his reasons are, if he presents inconsistent, I am gonna be thrown off and my nervous system is going to go into crisis. Okay, so this is why it's important to know yourself, because now it's not about the excuses you can make for him. It won't calm me down. I just need to walk away and be with a man whose life and heart is ready to love me consistently. I have to be with a man who has the discipline to love me consistently, because consistency is my love language. And so what is your love language? What are the things and the characteristics? If you put me in a room full of thousands of people, my anxiety levels go through the roof. I know that about myself. So if a man's going to take me to a concert or a game, we have to be in a private booth, because I will not be able to handle the energy coming at me in crowds, because again, like I explained, I'm highly sensitive and I'm an empath. So all of those things allow me to know that I can't be with a guy who always wants to be at parties, who loves clubbing, who, you know, loves going to big matches, and can't, is not prepared to, he will have to go by himself, So there's some things that I used to think I was a snob, but it's not that I'm a snob. It's just that the private places have fewer people and it allows me to manage my energy better. But private places cost more money. And so I used to think, oh gosh, why are you so into that? But I was actually seeking solace, peace, to enjoy the event and the situation going on without having to be in everybody's energy, without having to pick up all the energy signatures. And so that was really important. So I know the areas in my life that make me anxious. What are the areas in your life that bring up anxiety? What is the behavior that brings up anxiety? And what is the antidote for that? The next one is, what makes you feel disrespected? What actions or things make you feel disrespected? For me, if I see my man checking, just glancing at another woman, I don't feel disrespected. I know for some women that is massive disrespect. I just see it as he's got eyes, right? It's not that I would like him to walk around checking out other girls, but he has eyes and we both know she's a pretty girl, but we're not going to talk about it. We're just going to keep on moving. Okay, but I would feel disrespected if my husband didn't come home before 3 a.m. and that was standard. I would feel disrespected if he didn't show me and show his world that I was his woman. I would feel disrespected. So what would make you feel disrespected? I feel disrespected in general and really annoyed in general. People think I'm stupid. It really triggers me. I don't like people thinking I'm stupid or that they're getting away with stuff, because usually I can see them coming. So what is it about you? What is it that frustrates you? What is it that annoys you? What is it that gets you angry? What's the one thing that would get you angry? What is the one thing that a man could do to make you angry? Do you know what that is? If a guy came to you and said, look, what's the one thing I could do that could make you so terribly angry? Do you know what that is? The next question is, do you understand how your upbringing, your environment, your culture really truly has an effect on you? It's so funny growing up, and for those of you who watch my videos know I've had a mother wound for such a long time that I've had to heal, and my mom and I, we're besties now. But before I healed that wound, I was like, I never want to be like my mom. She was like another human to me. I had zero understanding, and I literally built my life around never becoming like my mom. My mom is a very blunt spoken instrument. She says what's on her mind and means it. She will tell you point blank, center in the middle, what she thinks, and she will tell you what everybody's afraid to tell you. She is so blunt and so in your face with it. And I used to find that really cruel and difficult to cope with. My mom is effervescent, she's glamorous, she's the life and soul, she's everything I am. Obviously, she's, you know, an African woman who has no filter, and her African upbringing was a lot more stronger than mine in terms of she was raised in you know, in more rural upbringings where things were more staunch and more steady, whereas I was raised quite suburban and went to private schools. So whilst I was raised in Africa, my experience was very sheltered. But for her, she had to be brutal to survive. She had to say what was on her mind to help raise her siblings and be the leader in her home. She had to adapt to these more blunt, more brutal ways. But really, I realized that I have all of her traits. I don't suffer fools gladly. I don't tolerate nonsense around me, and I don't know how to keep my mouth shut when there's foolishness going on in front of me. But I am a better communicator than my mom. I know how to communicate to people in a loving way. I know how to communicate my thoughts in a loving way. But still, the energy force behind it is exactly the same. My mom and I do not take prisoners. She might do it in a brutal way that will break your heart. I will do it in a kind, loving way, but I'm gonna get it done, you know. And my mom is warm, and she will give her last to anybody who needs it, and I am identical to her. It took me a while to really have to embrace that in so many ways I have become my mother. I've always been my mother, and the reason why we didn't get on was because we were actually very similar. And she wanted me to avoid the pitfalls and the pains she had gone through. But I'm also so terribly like my father. The high sensitivity comes from him. The empath is my mom, but the highly sensitive person is my father. And his calmer nature, his more diplomatic nature, I learned from him. I am a product of both my parents. Whether I like it or not, there's no way I can run or hide. Understanding that I was raised by these sort of people and that I embody who they are allows me to know myself even deeper, because all I have to do is watch them and know why I am the way that I am. Looking at my siblings, my sisters, the country I was raised in, the values that were put in my head, determine where I will lean in life. They have already determined my course in life. The fact that I believe in right and wrong, black or white, the fact that I believe that there's a right way and a wrong way to do things, and that will never change about me. These things come from the culture and the way that I was raised. Of course, I have learned to understand the gray areas, to show compassion when people are not winning, especially to myself. But nevertheless, I still believe in right or wrong, good and evil. I still believe that there are things that need to be things, right? And that is got to do with how I was raised. We can only go so far from who we are. Understanding and honoring your heritage, understanding and honoring where you've come from and how that has defined you as a person is so important as part of our self-awareness. I have gone back into my history, figured out what the women in my culture, my tribes and tongues were like. I've asked my mom about the women that come from my tribe. And I realized that we've always been powerful, potent sexual beings, that I am actually a reflection of the women that have gone before me. And it's allowed me to embrace so many parts of myself because it is their legacy to be who I am today, to be women that went to war and didn't stay home, women that sat in court and were judges in court. I come from that stock. Therefore, I can't be anything less. I can tame it, I can put a little bit of femininity on it, but I'll always be that girl. Understanding yourself is the most important life journey, and it starts with understanding where you have come from before you can even truly understand where you are going. And last but not least, when I walk into the room, what is the fragrance I bring? What is the energetic fragrance I bring into a room? What is the energetic fragrance I bring into a relationship? What is the energetic fragrance? You know, there's some people, you walk into a room and everybody disperses. And there are people that walk into a room and everybody gathers. And then there are people that walk into the room and everybody's faces smile. And there are people that walk into the room and people's faces drop. Have you noticed the effect that you have in any room? Do people stare? Do you feel that they're staring because you're weird? Or do you feel that they're staring because you're magnificent? What effect do you have in any room? I know that most rooms I will walk in, especially people know me, most people's faces will light up. But I also know that they will know that there's a lot of weight and gravitas that has also come into the room. Even when people don't know me, even if I'm just out at a business conference, before I know it, I've been delegated to be the speaker or the leader of the group. I carry the weight of a leader. I carry the gravitas of a leader, regardless of how bubbly and sunshiny I am. Knowing that about me allows me to position myself right, but also allows me to show my man, this is who I am. This is how things work in my world. Are you able to handle that? Self-awareness is a gift we not only give to ourselves, it's a gift we give to those that we're inviting to be in our lives, especially the man of our dreams. And when we take the self-awareness journey seriously, we then begin to really vibrate at a frequency that allows that which God has for us to find us and to locate us. I hope that this video was helpful. And of course, here at the Black Swan Relationship Academy, we're here to help you take every journey you need to take on your road to your more beautiful love story. Do not hesitate to follow us. Follow the link in the bio. If you spend some time in there, you're going to find some really exciting stuff for you, and we will hold your hand through it. I look forward to seeing you in my next video, and in the meantime, do take care of you. Love you lots. Bye-bye. Well done for coming to the end of this video. What I want to ask you is, what have you learned? What is your takeaway? And what are you going to start practicing right away? Those three things are how you are going to get the best out of every class here at the Black Swan Relationship Academy. Please put it in the comments so that we can all have a look. So I can have a look, the coaches can have a look, and I promise you, we read every comment. We may not be able to reply to every comment, but we read all of your comments and we want to see how you are growing. And we will see you on the next video.